Dear friends, I have a great honor and pleasure to greet your forum on behalf of the government of Finland. I cannot agree with you more with the fact that we need more accountability and better implementation to prevent torture both nationally and globally. There is no justification for torture. To eradicate all kinds of torture and ill treatment, we need more accountability and better monitoring and implementation of the international obligations. A few words about Finland. We have taken many concrete measures to revise our legislation in order to better prevent torture and to secure access to justice for all victims of human rights violations. The constructive dialogue with the UN Committee Against Torture and the European Committee for the Prevention of Torture has encouraged us to review our legislation and practices in this regard. One of the concrete measures was the 2011 amendment to the Criminal Code. It criminalizes torture and establishes the absolute prohibition of torture in all circumstances. No violations have been reported under this provision. More has been done. A total reform of the legislation concerning the pre-trial investigation, coercive measures and the police took place in 2011. This reform reinforces human rights and improves judicial control in the use of coercive measures. We have also succeeded in reducing the number of prisoners through legislative amendments. The possibility of probationary liberty under supervision was introduced in 2006, and restrictions on the possibility to convert unpaid fines into imprisonment were imposed in 2008 through several legislative amendments. The introduction of monitoring sentence will further reduce the daily number of prisoners once this new punishment system reaches its fullest extent. Now, I would estimate that in Finland we have an adequate legal framework to prohibit torture, and we work hard to ensure its effective implementation. However, mechanisms to monitor the legal framework and its implementation need to be strengthened. As regards the ratification of the optional protocol of the Convention Against Torture, the ratification has been prepared in a cross-sectoral working group in order to guarantee its best possible effectiveness. It has been proposed that the parliamentary ombudsman would function as the national preventive mechanism in Finland. We are expecting to finalize the ratification process in the course of this year. Our government adopted in February Finland's development policy program under my guidance. It steers Finland's development policy and development cooperation. The human rights-based approach to development constitutes its main guiding principle, and this is new. We believe that this approach to development as a method and principle can and should guide all our development policy and cooperation. In our human rights work in the development policy, we focus on the rights of those who are in the most vulnerable and excluded position or at the risk. In many places, women, children, ethnic and sexual minorities, indigenous peoples and persons with disabilities are among the most excluded and without strong economic, social or political safety nets. They are also often subject to torture and ill-treatment practices, particularly in situations where supervision and transparency is lacking. For me and for Finland, the fight against impunity is a priority. The most serious crimes of concern to the international community as a whole, including genocide, crimes against humanity and war crimes, must not go unpunished, and their prosecution must be ensured by measures taken both at domestic and international levels. There are indeed persuasive arguments for enhancing the national capacities to try the alleged perpetrators. It is of great significance for the victims and their communities to see that the perpetrators of crimes are brought to justice in their own country. In cases where national trials are not possible for various reasons, the International Criminal Court is an indispensable vehicle in ensuring justice and accountability. It is also vital to ensure that the situation of victims remains high on the agenda. Human rights defenders and democracy activists need more protection. We highly appreciate your observatory program to provide urgent interventions, missions and material assistance to prevent repression against human rights defenders. And even in my previous capacity as chair of the Subcommittee on Human Rights in the European Parliament, I was greatly able to profit from your program. The world is still too much governed by fear and violence. To break the rule, human beings shall be empowered and treated as active participants in all development processes. I wish your forum all the best and great success in your important work to eradicate torture and ill treatment. Thank you very much.